This video is sponsored by Bityard. With over 400 cryptocurrencies to choose from on their spot exchange, dozens of USDT pairs for futures trading, perpetual coin futures, trade commodities like gold, silver and oil, Forex, and major indices like Nasdaq. You can buy crypto from Bityard with over 50 different fiat currencies using Visa, MasterCard, Google or Apple Pay. If you like, you can use their copy trade facility, follow other traders who will execute trades on your behalf, or become a copy trader yourself. So if you want a bit of that, click the link in the description. Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at JASMY. So an absolute wrecked city of a chart. Obviously we're only looking at it here on the Binance chart, but if you go to Gate.io, it was actually valued at once upon a time up at like $6, and now we're just scraping this 1 cent zone. So it makes those who love an altcoin, you know, look at something like this and go, wow, this is the altcoin dream, isn't it? Picking something like this up and it's gonna return to its all-time high of $6. Well, I mean, that would be a dream, and look, maybe one day it'll happen. Maybe one day it'll happen. But for the moment, like, its only real direction is down. But I can tell you something now. There's something brewing in the overall market, which is a potential another big move down. Well, let's say big move down, a move down of maybe 10 to 20. We're thinking about Bitcoin here on the weekly. I will only be very brief about this. We made a video on Bitcoin today, yeah, 25% here, give or take. It's a bit of a bad measurement, but yeah, about 25%, 25% to its 200 simple moving average on the weekly. It doesn't have to happen, but it could. It generally is bottoming out around there. That could happen. And then what would be looking at for altcoins? Absolute wrecked city. Obviously, we're already at wrecked city. But if any of you like to trade the Bitcoin dominance chart, like myself, we look at areas of significance on here, basically areas of resistance. And this is where we'd think about trading into stuff. So obviously what this means, generally speaking, is that altcoins will lose Satoshi values. So rather than looking at altcoins versus their tether pairings, which is obviously they are all at wrecked city, we'll look at them versus their Bitcoin pairs, which is obviously they're going to be at wrecked city as well, because this is what this means. And this is a bullish chart, it wants to continue to go up, so everything going to wrecked city together as Bitcoin goes to wrecked city itself. It doesn't really matter which way Bitcoin wants to go, this chart wants to go up. So a larger Bitcoin position is obviously the key while you're down in these areas, and rotating out of them is a good idea when you go to resistances, and obviously the higher the resistance. Anyway, I've spoken about it millions of times. There's a video I made about Bitcoin dominance, a recent one just last week, I think. So if we think about Bitcoin, yeah, we come down. Okay, fair play to you. What are we going to look at for JASMY? Well, the tether pairing just suggests that we've already had a low down here. We are already at a low right now, and that being effectively about 1 cent, basically, give or take. And we put in an absolute low around here, about 0.83 of a cent. Fair enough. You could look at that and go, all right, well, what we're supposed to do about that then? Try and catch it back down and it's low again? You could do, or we could base everything around sats, and sats basically being the best way to think about this. Now, we had an amazing reaction last time we hit this low down here, 28 sats, and we moved all the way up to 118 sats. That means that 1 Bitcoin being put in here would basically be worth, well, your 3 Bitcoins of profit afterwards. You'd have made 316% gain. Not that anyone will have done that, but you can see that there is some it's very enticing to not want to do it on a chart that looks like this. Again, this chart is wrecked city, and we have to trade it appropriately, but if we're looking at big gains, we think about, you know, smaller amounts. Yeah, and again, when the Bitcoin dominance chart is still quite low, going up to its first level of resistance, it doesn't require you putting in loads of your Bitcoins into something like this. Just a little slice will do you, because we're not looking for a long-term continuation on any kind of alt season, but we would be looking for potentially a decent reaction. And so I'd be looking at the sats for all of these charts really at this stage now as we approach the first level of resistance. And JASMY has proven to have a nice reaction in the past. I think it will have a nice reaction once again as we approach these lows, getting interesting around 30 to 28 sats. Now, where are we going to go from here? That's the question. Well, first of all, there's no real way to tell, but we do have ourselves a trend line formed here. We're getting close. Well, we're clearly going to come down. I can see that here. We're clearly going to come down. Obviously, Bitcoin dominance suggests that also. It doesn't really matter which way you cut it. Sats are going to be drained from JASMY in the short term. But then as we approach the bottom. Do we break down from here, which again would be devastating? It would be absolutely devastating, because the lower the sats, the bigger the tick, the bigger the tick, the bigger the drop. Or do we actually bounce from this level and break out, whether it's a straight break or whatever, and we actually start to do a similar move to something like this? I'm not saying that we're going to make a move that big, but maybe we get to double our money, double our Bitcoin. Maybe one Bitcoin can be 2 Bitcoins, in a short space of time. Bitcoin dominance suggests that those sort of trades are appropriate to a smaller extent at the first level of resistance. So JASMY, I have definitely got my sights on this one, and the alerts have been set at 30 sats, and we'll see the nature of the market at the time. We'll try and navigate the risks in alternating from a Bitcoin position into a JASMY position at that point, for what could be a nice little gain. Like I say, 100% or so, thereabouts. We're not looking to get too greedy on this one. I have got a long-term plan on this one, though. I actually think that JASMY is going to reign supreme one day. But the problem is, just like in any kind of situation with an altcoin at the moment, trying to dollar cost average into an altcoin, especially an altcoin that looks like this, is going to be a hard task, because the only thing to really dollar cost average into really is Bitcoin, and maybe even Ethereum to a lesser extent, because they have so far stood the test of time, as Bitcoin always does. And like I say, it's all appropriate to your overall entry point, and time is the major component. Time in the market trumps timing the market, but when it comes to altcoins, I would probably say that altcoins for the most part is all about timing the market rather than time in the market. Time in the market generally doesn't bode well, unless of course well, you'd have to be pretty lucky, to be honest with you. It's not always the case. Ethereum time in the market has proven to be pretty well, but for the most part, for altcoins, it's not. So we are looking to time the market when it comes to altcoins, and time in the market when it comes to Bitcoin. A very complicated phrase there, so yeah, maybe I won't bother with that again. Right, so yeah, we're not looking at anything special on this chart, and apart from reaching that area, 30 sats would be, I suppose, an entry point, but for me, it's an alert. I want to see the damage. I want to see what brought it down there. I want to see if there's any reasons outside of the charts that suggested that we came down to that level before I pull the trigger and rotate. I also need to match that with the Bitcoin dominance chart. Are we in that resistance box? And if we are in the resistance box, lovely, it's worth a shot. And you know what, we're reasonably close to it. From where we are right now to the bottom area of the box is just over 3% move, and to the top of the box is about 7% move, 7.5% move. So anywhere within this box is arguably an area to rotate from. As an alt season can take part at any stage within here. It would only be small, because the overall direction of this chart is so bullish. We've got every aspect of a bullish chart. We've got conversion baseline, continuation trend signal, where we have also got a golden cross as well. It's bullish AF. It's absolutely turbo bullish, and so we would expect higher. But again, this is good for traders like myself who stack Bitcoins for these rotation events. This is where you go into and dollar cost average into Bitcoin at significant levels. Like I say, you just try and accumulate as much as possible, because there will come a time not long from now where, first of all, you could make a micro rotation, maybe 10% of your Bitcoin into altcoins, or you could try another 10% around here. You could up your game, maybe 20% of your Bitcoin around here, or even go in maybe 40% of your Bitcoin around here. And these rotation events are the ones that make you the biggest gains. As we all know, when altcoins go, they go, but when they go down, they go down, right? And when you're trying to manage risk to reward, you don't really want to go into altcoins in low areas. You go into Bitcoin at low areas. Bitcoin position, Bitcoin position, Bitcoin position, and then maybe an altcoin position. And maybe an altcoin position, certainly an altcoin position, definitely an altcoin position, and then at this point you go super hard and heavy. I would be very surprised to see us ever get to these levels again, but this is where I more or less took maybe about 80% of my Bitcoin, put them into altcoins, and the party went on for a long time. It was amazing. It was amazing. Amazing stuff, but we're not there yet. And maybe we'll get there again, but for the moment you just got to plan for these areas and think about which coins are going to generate the biggest profits in what could be whether it be a small rotation or a larger rotation. the market is a different market, and which is why I think that you know, even in this area here, it wouldn't be unheard of to think that we could at least double our money moving into altcoins. But until we get there, we can't do it. But if and when we do get there, it's worth having some altcoins on, you know, in the crosshairs, ready for you to pull the trigger on, rather than fluffing around and panicking about which one it is you're going to pick and FOMOing into things that aren't. You know, the idea is to not FOMO. The idea is to plan in advance, and sometimes it takes months for a plan to come to fruition. And this could be a prime example of that, when everybody's like, you know, flapping around, you know, oh, I'm not buying anything, oh no, and then, you know, a week or two later, you'll see that JASMY has already done 100x, in my dreams, 100%, and then it's at that point where people go, I think everything's okay to buy, and then they buy and they provide liquidity to people like you and me who have bought the bottom and get to sell into their, well, unfortunately, you know, into the money that they're now deciding to part with. Probably at the top or thereabouts. It's the nature of the market, unfortunately. In order for me to sell, someone needs to buy. The people who don't have a plan usually FOMO, and it's that FOMO that provides the liquidity for people like you and me to sell into, unfortunately. So anyway, that is the plan. I see it. I think we've got a decent opportunity here if we can marry this support with the Bitcoin dominance chart resistance, and this would be an opportunity to maybe get 100%. I'm not suggesting that that's where your target should be. You should monitor it bit by bit as the trade continues. The best thing is probably not get greedy at all. Be happy with the 20. Be happy with the 50%. Whatever it is, just be happy with some profit. All you're looking to do is increase the amount of Bitcoin that you own. And this is one way to do it. And this is what I think is one chart that will allow for something like that to take place. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day, guys. Take it easy.